All right. So we're going to begin this recording of the Batcave podcast, 12 Days of Batmas with Michael Bailey in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, citizens, to an all-new episode of the Batcave podcast. It's your old bat chum, John S. Drew here, and the 12 Days of Batmas continue as we take another look at an issue of Batman, Detective Comics, World's Finest, Brave and the Bold. And we try and figure out if we can try and mold it into a Batman 66 TV episode. And I've got an old chum here. He hasn't been on for a while, but you've heard his voice here on the podcast before. I'd like to welcome back to the podcast from the Fortress of Baileytude itself, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Michael.
Hey, John, long time. I think the last time we talked was about the Super Friends.
I believe so. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah. First season, Super Friends. We got to start talking to you, getting you on for second season now that we're into it. Yeah.
I'll make it happen. I really will. It was a lot of fun last time, so I can't imagine it wouldn't be again.
Well,
thank you. Thank you for having me on for this too.
Yeah. Well, no, thank you. I mean, we're having more fun with second season though, so I think it'll even be more fun. So but we're here, yes, to talk Batman 66. Now, yesterday Billy Flynn was on and he did the Gorilla Boss of Gotham City. And, normally when there've been a few people who've presented things that I'm like, is that really like suitable for Batman 66? And I kind of hold them to it. Billy has always been the kind of person who can make the impossible seem possible or the illogical seem logical. He's just got this way of spinning ideas out of his head. But you have a similar creature story here of sorts, and I've got to hear your take on how we can make this work for Batman 66. We're dealing with the Blockbuster invasion of Gotham City.
Yes, from Detective Comics number 345. This is one of the greatest Batman stories ever told. That's not me. That's DC Comics. They put it in that volume in 1989, I think that thing came out. So I love this story, and I was sitting there because, you approached everybody and you're like, choose a story that you can mold into, like, that could adapt into it. And I'm like, well, could this? And there's only one way it works. And that is you get Ted Cassidy to play Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other guy from that era that did like lumbering creatures. I mean, he was Lurch, obviously, on the Addams Family. He was the voice, the narrator of the opening credits, and the voice of the Incredible Hulk until he passed away, and he was succeeded by Charles Napier. But I was like, if you could get Adam West punching, like on the not like on the splash page, because they didn't really do a lot of kidney punches on the Batman television series.
No.
But you have it that you introduce it pretty much like you skip the whole. They don't have the budget to have Bruce Wayne rescue somebody at sea.
See, I was going to say, like, how far do we go with that whole plot element there?
No, but you bring in the brother, who would be played by a mustachioed Bill Bixby.
Oh, okay.
And it hit me today because I was like looking through. I am not as versed on 60s television as a lot of other people, but I was looking at it. I was like, well, one, it would be funny that you have a creature and it's Bill Bixby, and that's kind of a meta laugh. But having him be kind of the mastermind behind everything, I think works. I think you start it now. Are we fitting this? I was a little unclear. Are we fitting this into a season, or is this for a proposed fourth season?
It could go for the proposed fourth. In fact, maybe in some respects that might actually work better.
And are we still doing one-parters in the fourth season?
It could be one-parter. It could be a two-parter.
Okay, because this story actually does well for a two-parter if we do a two-parter.
Right.
But it could work as a one-parter as well, because you just open on William Dozier's narration and a woman screaming, and you see Ted Cassidy in a brown shirt and torn brown pants and sandals. The sandals throw me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie about that. But if you start it like that, and then they call Batman, and Batman and Robin rush in just like in the comic and start taking it on and losing because he's so much stronger than they are, that you can basically introduce the brother earlier into the story and have him at the end of the first part putting Batman and Robin in whatever death trap that they're going to do. But the whole thing is, we keep the fact that Bruce Wayne at one point saved this kid when he was younger, because it gives some pathos to the episode, that he does, Bruce and Dick do their detective work with Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon sitting in the background looking in awe, because that's, I love this show. That's mainly what they did. We're not, I can't lie on that. But to have the ending kind of happen similar to how it happens here, where he strips off the Batman costume, I think that would be really dramatic for the series, of him taking the cowl off and somehow having the Bruce Wayne outfit under his Batman outfit. I'm not quite sure, but they hit a button and their clothes changed on a bat pole. So I guess, you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound for this show.
Right.
But it's mainly that kind of thing where you have Bill Bixby like chewing the scenery as the mastermind behind this, and you totally portray Blockbuster, even though he's scary in the beginning, you totally portray him as kind of a sympathetic character by the end. And like first season episodes could do that, and Batman on the series was always about rehabilitating the criminals.
Yes.
So everything in that, like for the TV series, as the more I started thinking about it, the more I'm like, no, this works perfectly. This could actually work as it be one of the scarier episodes. I'm sure over in the UK it would have to be shown after 8:00. I don't know if there was any episodes of Batman that they had to do that with, but no, I just like the idea that you play into Bruce Wayne a little bit, because Adam West, as great as he was playing Batman, I always got the sense that he had a lot of fun playing Bruce Wayne too.
Yes.
Like when he got to take the costume off and be that playboy. But in this case, it's him like teaching Robin the lesson of compassion. Like, yeah, this guy could kill me, but I have a feeling that I could get him to turn around at the end, and then we can take out the real bad guy. And having Burt Ward punch out Bill Bixby, I think would be awesome.
Yeah, because there is that part there in the later half of the story where Robin basically is taking on the brother alone, because Batman's dealing with Blockbuster himself. So and that also gives Burt Ward an opportunity to sort of get some scenes alone without Adam West hovering over him.
Yeah, no, but I really think Bixby was fantastic at comedic roles. My Favorite Martian, he was ostensibly the straight man, but he was excellent as the comedic straight man. And he was kind of like the comedic straight man to Elvis Presley in a bunch of movies too. Right. So it's not like him going camp would be weird. I mean, the courtship of Eddie's father was like right around the same time that this supposed episode would be happening. But, he's Bixby I chose too, because he's a bankable star, which the series was lousy with. Right. And you kind of have him, because poor Ted Cassidy's not going to get many lines in this episode.
Well, no.
And I kind of feel bad about that too. But I love the idea that you have the Addams family, which I don't think, I could be wrong about this. It seemed like the Munsters burned brighter than the Addams family to a certain extent. In terms of like Grandpa was like going out and doing car shows and stuff while the series was going on. Right. But still, the Addams Family is one of those classic television shows that's right up there with the Munsters and Batman and that kind of thing. And John Astin, wasn't Morticia in an episode too?
She was Marcia, Queen of
Yeah,
Diamonds.
she was Marcia, Queen. I was. It's been a long day. I kind of blanked on the name. So having more cast members of the Addams Family also appealed to me in this.
Well, it's funny too, because just recently I was reading an article where John Astin had been interviewed by, I guess, the Television Academy. They do those videos from time to time. And he says what undid the Addams Family and the Munsters was Batman.
That I can kind of see that, because it kind of took up a lot of the oxygen in the room.
Yes.
For the core audience of both of those shows.
Yeah.
And it only made sense then that they would go on and guest on the show, because, if you're going to get taken down by something, it's kind of nice to get hired by them.
Right.
Even though his Riddler is not often fondly remembered. But I don't think that's his fault.
No, I don't either. I think it's undeserved. It's just the problem is Frank Gorshin looms so large.
Yeah, it's kind of like Eartha Kitt and
Lee Merriweather. I think they were as good and shown as bright in their times as Catwoman as Julie Newmar was. Julie Newmar was, I think, objectively the most attractive. But, Lee Merriweather in the Batman film was fantastic, and Eartha Kitt had a whole other. It wasn't the same type of Catwoman, right?
It was playing into what made her a sex symbol at that time period. Mm-hmm. You can't outdo Frank Gorshin.
No,
he is the Jim Carrey of his era. He just comes on and you just got to keep up. But
I'll say this much though about that with John Astin, he didn't try either to outdo.
No,
Gorshin.
He didn't.
He did his own thing.
No, he played it whimsically.
Yes,
but he did not try to do the laugh or or be as physical as Frank Gorshin was.
Yeah.
One of the things about doing this, though, is that I got to reread this story. I love this era of Batman in the comics. Right before the Julius Schwartz era, right before the TV series. Mm-hmm. It's just, you see where a lot of people are like, the Batman series was silly. I'm like, have you read the comics that were around it?
Yes.
That first season is almost a straight up adaptation of that era. Mm-hmm. And just reading this again, I was just like, man, everything just turned around after the Silver Age, at this point in the Silver Age. It's just such a great story of Bruce Wayne saving this kid, and then doing that great kind of Carmine Infantino thing of having the cop telling the story, and you just have the head of the cop next to the caption box, so you know that's who's telling it. Yeah. And just how dynamic is. And let's face it, this was them riffing on the Hulk. There's no question of that. Yeah. Oh, and I could totally hear Burt Ward saying, wow, compared to this baby, Frankenstein's monster was a little Lord Fauntleroy.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I could definitely hear Burt Ward saying those lines. Yep.
But yeah, I think it would be an offbeat episode.
That's for sure.
It's not a normal, but I rarely try to do normal. It's like, if we're gonna go out on a limb and like have total carte blanche that we get to choose this, you might as well go for kind of the out there stuff. Plus, if they want to pump some money into it, they could have brought back the Batcopter and the Batboat.
Yes. Yep.
So
well, that was the thing I was going to ask you when it came to that, because you mentioned the cliffhanger, and I'm thinking there's a perfectly good part if we're actually going to have part 2 be about their tracking down Blockbuster and the brother on the island. You could have the Batcopter crash as it does in in the comic book.
Yep, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and of course they have the bat boat nearby because of course Batman does. You can have Alfred just, sitting on the dock because he drove it up there for him, wearing, of course, the mask under his glasses.
Yes.
Because you have to have that happen. But yeah, I don't know. I think where this comic and the show would also coincide is Bruce would be back in the costume for the stinger at the end.
Right.
So you would have him fighting, like as Bruce Wayne with Blockbuster. And I could almost see if they wanted to go a little goofy, having basically Chief O'Hara now has they've basically hired Blockbuster to work for the Gotham City PD, and they've got him in like a uniform that doesn't quite fit.
Right.
At the end, just moving something around for them.
And I could see it like to the effect of, he's much happier now, and he tries to smile or something.
Yeah, and because I don't think Ted Cassidy gets enough credit for how he played Lurch.
Oh no.
I've watched episodes of that, and I'm like, this guy's a comedic genius. He knew exactly what he was doing. So,
yeah. Now let me ask you one last question here, because not one last question because I got a few others, but in the terms of the story and the plotting, because we do mention that Bruce had saved Blockbuster as a kid, earlier. Do we reenact that? Do we just have Adam relay it in dialogue to Robin?
I thought about that, and this is going to sound weird. I thought to save the budget for later in the episode, it would just be a story that Bruce tells him.
Okay.
But the thing is that Adam West was really good at that type of dialogue, of making it, and it's just like, well, remember, Dick, well, I saved that boy, and just telling the story and painting a vivid picture. You could do it, but that's water effects and
because the thing is he's going to have to recreate it.
That is true.
If you do that, but then again, you could also still save money by having them do the recreation. There's Adam stuck in the quicksand, whatever. He's and Blockbuster's looking at him and sort of just having these flashbacks from his point of view as a kid of Adam now holding out his hand to him. So he kind of does the same thing, or maybe something like that.
Yeah, if you wanted to have it, you could have it that they filmed it at the same time, basically. They just filmed both scenes simultaneously so they didn't have to come back to the set.
Right.
And I'm sure they could have figured something out. I'm sure there's like a bog somewhere. Wait, no, what am I thinking? Batgirl got caught into quicksand at one point. So
not quicksand. Frozen row.
Okay, but still, it's a similar concept.
Similar concept, absolutely. No, but Batman and Robin had quicksand in the Riddler episode of all things with John Astin.
That is absolutely right. So it's not like they couldn't do it.
Right.
It probably would be a set with lots of stock footage to kind of fill out that they're at the ocean or out in the water and all that. So. But yeah, he definitely, at least the part where Bruce saves the kid when he's telling the story, you don't have to have him jumping into the water and getting to the shore. You could just say, my ship capsized, I swam, and then have Adam walk up with like a completely soaked shirt and pants, and he sees the kid with the quicksand.
Right.
So no, that you solved the problem. Yeah, yes, you absolutely do the flashback.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Now we've got our, main stars, special guest villain, extra special guest villain, if you have to, Ted Cassidy as Blockbuster. What are your titles for the episode? Yeah.
Ah, man. They got a rhyme, obviously.
Yeah, most of the time they did, and they weren't always perfect either.
Well, you have the first one, the Blockbuster invasion of Gotham City, and then Batman chases the monster, didn't he?
Okay.
Like I can workshop it a little more, but no, that at least has the rhyming. You retain the Blockbuster invasion of Gotham City, which is a perfect comic book story title. Mm-hmm. And then you have like kind of the silly part of it next, because you can't have just the Blockbuster invasion of Gotham City Part 2.
No, you can't. No.
They did not do Part 2s. So
no, it's got to have another title. Yeah. Batman chases the monster, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, that works. Anything else about this issue, or about how it would work in Batman 66? Anything else that stood out to you that you wanted to touch on?
Just that you would have to have Bill Bixby have goons as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they all wear the black shirt and the berets as they come running out.
Okay.
They're all dressed just like him.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, just because I think brown berets, excuse me, just wearing the khaki pants, the black the black like kind of beatnik shirt, mm-hmm. and the berets, and that's the goon outfit as well.
Yeah, I can see that. And then of course any fighting that goes on, the berets easily get knocked off.
Yeah,
and such.
Obviously.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Well, there you go. We could definitely work this into it. Yeah, the way you discuss it here, and I think fourth season, because by then it's like, all right, if the rumors that were that it was going to NBC and stuff, they'd have to have done like up their game somewhat anyway. Mm-hmm. You couldn't just keep going back to Joker, Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman all the time, and some of the more obscure or created villains may have had to have been put aside. And you figure by this point, because it would be 1968, 69 now.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So it's like, all right, we've had a few years of Batman issues that more recent that we could dive into. So why not?
Yeah. And also I think, the country was just going into a different era by 69. Mm-hmm. I mean, Nixon was president.
Yep.
So, Camelot was over. Definitely. Yeah. And the Vietnam War was heating up, was getting worse and worse. So it's almost like having kind of a silly monster episode would kind of fit into that TV being not really reflecting what's going on. And to be fair, the Blockbuster's costume is ripped pants and a ripped shirt. So it's not like the costuming person has to put a whole lot of effort into that.
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. They are, and you didn't even have to really do much makeup or anything on him, because he's already a big enough looking guy.
Yeah.
It's not like he needs like hair extensions or anything like that, really.
Yeah, I could see them probably putting on like that mod, like 60s wig.
Okay, there you go.
Kind of like it. But that's really it, because Ted Cassidy was kind of an angular looking guy anyways.
Yes.
And this is when a monster would just be like somebody strong would just be somebody who's big. Mm-hmm. It's not like as we get into the 70s where it's the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Lou Ferrigno, that's what we consider a muscle man. Right. This is more just, this guy's huge, so obviously he's stronger than everybody else in the room.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. We've done it again, folks. Yeah. Or we've tried to anyway. I mean, let us know too what you think of this here, these choices and such. Head on over to thebatcavepodcast.com or to our Facebook page or Twitter, and comment as we post these episodes and let us know what you're thinking. Michael, before we wrap things up here, though, if people want to reach out to you and talk about this or about anything Batman or especially Superman related. By the way, do I need to offer my condolences to you about what's his name, Henry Cavill?
I'm bummed out, but I've talked about this a lot lately. This isn't my first rodeo of having something taken away. I joked on Twitter. I was just like, guys, I remember when I was disappointed that Superman 5 and Superman the new movie wasn't happening back in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. So I liked Henry Cavill in the role, but he's not the only guy that's played Superman.
Right.
It's like getting all wrapped up about Ben Affleck losing the role. He's not the only guy that's played Batman. Right. These are characters that launch. But if you want to hear me talking about Superman or Batman, head on over to www.fortressofbaileytude.com. The main shows that are coming back, I've had a really weird 4 months. That would be of interest to Batman fans is the Overlooked Dark Knight. Andy Leyland and I get together once a month, and most of the time we talk about Batman stories that people don't usually talk about. We break that rule a lot. And occasionally we have done one commentary for a couple of episodes of the 66 show because we are just both such huge bookworm fans that we had to talk about that episode. And maybe around the first of the year, there might be a commentary for the movie. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that. But there's also From Crisis to Crisis, which talks about post-crisis Superman. There's 2 seasons of the Superman and Lois tapes where, shockingly, we talk about, me and my friends Bethany and Allison talk about Superman and Lois. And there's another show that isn't really around, but there's about 26 episodes of Bailey's Batman podcast, where I talked about a lot of different Batman stuff, from movie commentaries to Batman from the 30s to the 70s to Batman's origin from 1948. So, but yeah, no, just check it out. And John, it's always a pleasure. I gotta say, it's always a little disappointing not seeing you at Dragon Con, but getting the stuff.
I know. I got to get back to that. I know. I've been, well, you know what it was like? I was all starting to get geared up, and then you know what happened, and now I've been hesitant about that.
Yeah, and especially since so many people caught it this year, and it seemed, I'm not saying this, but it seemed like it was mostly people staying in the host hotels. I don't know if the air circulation, because it's why Rachel and I didn't stay in town. Is we're not staying. I don't know where that air is coming from. Right. But no, that's where we met. That's where we did several, not only Batman panels, but we did a Quantum Leap one that was a lot of fun. So yes, it was. Yeah. But no, it's always good talking to you, sir.
You too, my friend. I appreciate you doing this here. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the Batcave podcast. Stay tuned. We've got one more look at the Batman comics tomorrow. My old pal, in fact, my oldest pal in the whole wide world, Mr. Keith R.A. DeCandido, will be joining us here as we go back now. We've got a little out of order, but that's okay. It's still fun. We're going to go all the way back to the 1940s, where Keith and I are going to talk about the Cavalier.
Oh my God, that would have been so awesome. I can see the swashbuckling outfit.
Yes. Yep. And we've got some interesting ideas on who to cast and such. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. But that doesn't mean that's the end of the 12 days. After that, Joe Stuber and I will be back looking at Filmation 1977, and we wrap it all up on Christmas Eve with a very special episode that I'm not still saying what it is yet. I'm holding off. I'll reveal it maybe tomorrow, but you'll definitely appreciate it. It's something a lot of people have been asking me about for a long time, and myself and a couple of the gang got together and we finally took care of it, took it out of its misery. Maybe it took it out of ours. We'll see. So until then, folks, thank you so much for listening. Once again, Michael, everybody, take care. And